Hello and welcome to the Find Your Nova podcast by Novaneers and Friends. This is a space where we discuss innovation, leadership, post-school success, and all things that inspire us all to find our Nova, that spark of genius in each one of us. To engage with us, follow Nova Pioneer on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X platforms.
Hi, my name is Chanel Kitosa, a former student in Nova Pioneer Eldoret campus. I have always wondered what it will be after my high school life, since I'm only in Form 1. Well, with me, on my left, I have...
Hi, my name is Godfrey Otaka from Post-School Success Department at Nova Pioneer. Thank you for having me.
And on my right?
My name is Cynthia. I work with students who are looking to transition into universities. So I'm very happy to be here. I work as an international student recruitment officer for Brock University, which is a Canadian institution here in Africa.
Thank you. So with my first question, it's addressed to Cynthia. You have traveled across Africa, and what stood out for you as a student recruitment?
My job does entail a lot of travel. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is actually from all the people that I meet. From my travels, I've realized that we are all very much the same, regardless of where you're coming from or which country you come from or where you live. So I've learned a lot from the cultures that I've met or I've interacted with in the countries that I've visited. In terms of students who are looking to apply to uni, I've learned that a lot of students want very different things for themselves. And so it's not just one thing for all students. Everybody has kind of their specific goal that they're looking for. So then it's my job to kind of guide them on what goal suits them best. So that's what I really like about the job.
Thank you. My second question is addressed to Mr. Godfrey.
Yes.
What student success story stood out for you, and what makes doing it worth?
I have so many student success stories, but I'll single just a few of them. While I was a teacher, I met a student, and this student was so much interested in art. And by then, we didn't have an active club of art, but she could draw, she could paint, and so on. And then her story was about, I need to do something that relates to my art. And we walked the journey with her. And right now, the student is doing civil engineering, but at the same time, she's still doing her art. She set up a website where she sells her art. To me, that's a success story because the student first discovered who she is. And then she followed her passion, went ahead and pursued something in art, but also used the skills in art to pursue a course that will actually address what she's looking for. And that's something that's very unique about students nowadays. Most students are able to identify their interests and find a course that matches their interests. And that's what employers are looking for right now, because there's passion, there's interest, and then there's work. If these three match, then you have a very wonderful employees. Because over time, employment is changing. Students' interests are changing. And even when you go to the universities, they are also trying to change that trend. Like, how can we address talent, passion versus the course that the students are doing? So even the inventions that are happening, the changing in the curriculum is based on what the demands are in the workforce, but also meeting the needs of the student.
Thank you.
Sorry, before you continue, I like what Ms. Otaka has said because for students who do something that they don't like, it will show in their work. So even if you're going for maybe what's the most popular career and you like it maybe because it pays a lot and it's not something that you enjoy doing, you'll end up being miserable at the end of the day and it will show up in your work and it will affect your productivity. So I like that student's story, they were able to match what they like to do and what is popping in the industry.
Yeah.
A follow-up question to what you've just said. And what if the student's parents want what the student doesn't want?
I see that a lot. And at the beginning, it can be a bit of a tussle because obviously your parents, they have a vision for you, right? And they've always seen you achieving a certain level of success in a field, right? And there's something that you want to do specifically. For these situations, I like to discuss the situation with both the student and the parent because what maybe sometimes the parent doesn't understand is, okay, where is this coming from? It's probably something from like their past or something they didn't get to achieve that they want to achieve through you, maybe. So we address that fact first, right? And then after that, we see how can we come together. Because if you do something that your parent wants you to do and you don't want to do it, you'll still be miserable and it might affect your productivity. Have you ever had these stories of people who finish a degree and then they take it back home to their parents and say, here is the degree you wanted. I want to
now
do.
to go and start my own
Right.
degree.
Yeah. So it's very important that you end up on the same page. You just need to understand where they're coming from and then they can also see your end. I usually wouldn't suggest that you just defy them and just go ahead and do whatever course you want, because they're most likely your sponsor. They're the ones who are rooting for you the most. They're the ones who are going to be at your graduation. So you want to make sure there's harmony before you actually begin the program that you want to do.
Yeah, if I may just add something, because I see that a lot in my line of work, and I've had students come to the office and they are in tears because they have a genuine interest in something, but their parents have a totally different idea for them. So one thing that we've done with some of my students, that I tell them that one way to get your parents to understand who you are and what you want for yourself is to show them that you really know what you want to pursue. And part of that comes with research. Research the course that you want to do. Talk about the opportunities that you see in that course and how you are going to navigate in that course. Because most of the time, parents will ask, I don't have a network in that line of work. And it's not about your parents' network. Yes, your parents' network can really help you get a job quickly. But then a student right now, with access to information and leveraging on opportunities that are there at university, students are able to create their own networks through internships, through interaction with their professors. So I tell them, let's do some research and we will work together so that by the time you are having this conversation with your parents, it's coming from a point of understanding yourself and helping them to understand exactly what you are thinking about. And I'm glad to say 90% of the time it works. And with more students being more confident with what they want to do, more parents are becoming more, they are accepting what their kids want to do. And I would say I've seen many students who have success. Actually, we have a student who, while in high school, they wanted to do photography, right? Right now, they are doing a lot of motor photography. And I think when we had the Safari Rally, he was part of the crew that was doing photography. And initially, this was not something the parents were understanding. So it just helps for our students to do some research and have a genuine conversation with parents. And as career counselors, what we do, we try to bring them together. We don't decide for them, but we try to explain to the parent, please listen. Listen to the student first and make your judgment based on the understanding before you just say, go and do this course. Yeah.
And you've said it's a 90% that this works. And for the 10%, when the parent has kept their mind on a very close pace, that their child has to do this course, whether they like it or not.
So, unfortunately, currently, it doesn't really work for most of the students nowadays. So it will actually, what will happen is what Cynthia was talking about. They will actually go for that course, but the parent won't realize when they change the course. Nowadays, they don't even finish. They will just change along the way, because while at university, I'm the one studying. So that usually happens. And therefore, it's a wake-up call for parents also to be able to listen to their kids and understand and support them. Most kids actually succeed when they choose their own path. When the parents support them, it even becomes a better success story, right? So for the 10%, unfortunately, yes, they end up in that course, but I've seen a trend where most of them do change by their second year or their first semester. There have been cases where students would actually just drop off completely until the parents accept to allow them to do their courses. So my point here is that as parents, it's important for us to understand our students, our kids, to be able to listen to them very keenly, because it's not like 10 years ago whereby whatever the parents wanted, that's what works. Nowadays, kids think for themselves and they learn what they want.
Thank you.
And also for that 10%, maybe 1%, I don't know, very minimal, there's a way you can find like a marriage between the program that you want to do and what your parents want you to do. So in uni, you have the opportunity to do like a major and a minor, right? So you can come down to a compromise to say, okay, if dad really wants me to do business and I want to do music, in the unis that you want to look at, find out if they offer one as a major, one as a minor. So you can do both of those. Obviously, you're going to want to see how do they complement each other, right? How is it working together? Because if they're so different, then it might not even work. But if you have, maybe you're doing whatever program and then you have like a minor in business, then somehow you might use it later, right? So you can have those two. It's kind of having your cake and eating it, but it has to also complement each other, right?
Yeah, exactly. I am a 4-month student, and should I be looking at my post-school path when I don't really know what I want to do in future?
I will say yes. Your post-school path is more beyond what you'll want to do, because you only learn what you want to do in future by exploring things right now. Let me give an example. Let me give an example of a program that we run at Nova. We call it job shadowing, right? We have students who go for job experience without necessarily having an interest in that field. For example, you have heard about medicine, you've heard about law, and then we say, okay, let's give you an opportunity to visit a hospital and experience a day in a hospital, right? That kind of exposure will give you an experience that will help you make a decision whether that is something that you'll be interested in. Most of the time, students will go there and say, oh, actually, I didn't know about this, but now I know. So I might actually consider this. We have some students who go in job shadowing knowing that that's what they want to do. So they just want to like put like a mark that actually that's what they want to do. But going back to your question, preparing for your post-school journey starts actually in Form 1. Cynthia will tell you about uni admissions, right? They look at the holistic student. How do you create a holistic student? It starts from your grades in Form 1 to Form 4, right? And then there's this unique profile that you have to create. What will differentiate me and Cynthia is the things that I do in high school. So you start creating your profile right in Form 1, right? Create your leadership profile, community engagement, right? Create your academic profile, your extracurricular activities. So those are the things that you build along the way. It's not about how many extracurricular activities you have been in, but it's about the impact that you've had in these activities. If you've been, let's say you've been students' council's president, right? That is a position. But what you did with that position is what matters. And that's why I'm saying you can start from Form 1. You should start from Form 1, right? You can be a table leader, like in your classroom, be in charge of your table. Then you transition slowly. So that profile, your leadership profile is being built from Form 1 going forward. So you prepare for yourself for the unknown future, and then you figure out, how am I going to build my future? So definitely, I will encourage any Form 1 students to start planning their journey in Form 1. So that in my experience, I've learned that most students who start planning for their post-school journey in Form 4, they don't get it right quickly. So those are the students who will imagine that they want to do this course. And then after some time, they realize that's not what they wanted to do. Because some of the activities that you do during your high school time helps you to understand yourself. How do you relate with people? Are you a people person, for example? Even if you don't like crowds, but are you able to engage in smaller groups? So that also feeds into your post-school profile. So definitely start early. Start early, but limit yourself in such a way that you balance, because there's a strike between creating your profile and your academics. Your academics stand out, your other profile supplements that. And Cynthia will tell you that's what they are looking for. Then they're no longer looking just for S or they want that unique student.
That is so true. And you can actually tell a student who's been preparing from Form 1 and a student who's just started preparing in Form 4. There's a big difference. So in terms of like thinking about it, start thinking about it as early as now. Create your persona or your profile as early as now. And even if you start doing the work now, I don't know if this is going to be controversial for you, Mr.
It's okay.
But even if you start preparing now and by Form 4 you still don't have like the clear thing that this is what I want to do, you're very normal amongst very many students. There are many students who still won't have figured out that this is what I want to do in like by the time they're applying to uni. And I see such students and I try to assure them that it's still fine because it's a big decision that you're making, right? That will will sit with you for the rest of your life. So I say it's still fine. Get like the fields that you want to go into, kind of like where you want to, like the kind of like the industry, and then you'll just figure out all the other things slowly. Right now, for unis have room for students to even figure this out even after they've already joined. So you're able to do, like for the uni that I work for, Brock, you're able to see a student who's joined. Maybe they want to do sciences, but they're not sure. Do I want to go into IT or do they want to go into math, things like those. So they're able to be accepted into a general science program for their first year, where they kind of double like in a bit of those programs. And then at the end of that, maybe their first semester or their first term, they're able to choose a program. So no pressure, not to say that you need to figure out in Form 1 that I want to go into medicine, but start doing the work now. But there's room for you to kind of figure it out along the way.
Would you advise a student to apply for university without knowing what they want to do?
Well, even for the student who doesn't know what they want to do, they know the direction that they want to be in. Like you'll know I'm not a math girl, or you'll know I'm a humanities person, and how do you get to know these things from your high school journey, right? You'll just know the subjects that you like and the ones that you're really putting in all the work, right? So you kind of have an idea. And that is all that is needed at that point when you're making your application. So the good thing again is with unis these days, you have an option of choosing even 3 programs that you can apply to, or even others, even additional. So you can say, my top choice is medicine. My second choice is this. My third choice is this, right? And then the admissions officers in these universities will accept you based on your strengths, from your grades and what you've put in your application. Then you can choose from there. So I would say, yes, don't wait until you completely know what you want to do. Even if you have like your top 3, you're still thinking about them, just apply. And then even later, you can also switch majors in uni. So you can say, oh, that is not what I thought this was going to be. I actually want to go into this program. And then you just work with your academic advisors and you're able to switch programs.
Yeah, if just add something. So the way we approach career counseling at Nova Pioneer is that we don't limit our students to one course. We say, create your post-school pathway and have your top 3 options. At least top 3 options. Because we understand these teenagers, right? Sometimes they change their mind. So if they have their top 3 options, then it helps them to narrow down later. And to something that Cynthia spoke about, even I've had students who make decisions after KCSE results. Like, okay, now I think this is what I'm going to do. And it's totally okay. Most of the times I will tell Form 4s, if you're not yet there, it's okay, right? It's what you do to prepare yourself. It's not about when you make the decision. It's what you do to prepare yourself. Regardless whether you do it in November, in October, before you do your KCSE, or you have the decision in February, just before KCSE results come out, or whichever exam that you take, the preparation helps you to make the decision. And as Cynthia mentioned, universities nowadays are opening up. Like students apply, come, figure it out with the professors and the advisors. Let's figure it out with you. And most unis internationally and some locally have like academic advising department and careers advising department, and they have support programs to help such students. So I will say, yes, apply. Apply, get there, explore yourself, figure out. There are people there to help you. And students still call us. I say, I am in my first semester. I think we need to have a conversation. And we set up our virtual conversation. Why? Because they have realized that, yes, they are doing this course, but they need to really rediscover themselves. So it's totally okay for them to apply even before they make the final, like, this is exactly what I want to do.
Do you think that the KCSE grade determines what somebody will do in university?
It's a mix of yes and no. because one, there are some courses that have very specific subject requirements and grade requirements, right? So that is a yes. But then there are some courses that they just need you to have like a minimum entry. So it doesn't matter what you got in some subjects. And therefore, the advice I'll give students is that give it your best. Don't say just because this course doesn't require like these grades, I will just do anything. I'll just get any grade. Give it your very best. And if you are genuinely putting your best and you get the grade that you get and you are passionate about something, you will always get it. But to be very honest, there are courses that are very specific. Like this is the grade that you are requiring. Like things like medicine, engineering, they have very specific subject requirements that if you don't, you either don't get in, and in some unis they'll say, okay, yes, I know you are passionate about this. We've read your application, wonderful, but there's this academic requirement that you are not meeting. So this is what we are proposing. Take 1 year diploma or foundation year, then we will use that to gauge your admission into uni. So it's a mix of both. And I think Cynthia will explain to you like how it really happens on the back end, because working with the university, she will know exactly like some examples of how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely matters.
Mhm.
You want to have the grades and you want to have the right subjects. I think in my line of work, I've seen a lot of students who have made the mistake of not doing the right subjects. And it's for a lot of reasons. And I've been there before, I understand. You don't want to do this subject maybe because your friends are not doing
Yeah.
it, or because you have, I don't know if this is politically correct, but not such a fun teacher. And you're like, I'm not going to do biology. And then you end up in the uni application process and like, we need biology for this program, or we need math, or we need, some specific subjects. So I say, when you're choosing your subjects, when do you choose like in Form 2?
In Form 2, yeah.
It's a very important decision that you're making at that point. So you want to make sure you are, taking it very seriously and working with the people who are supposed to guide you on that. And then now, once you've chosen your subjects, then you want to make sure you're putting in your best, as Mr. Taka said, to make sure that you get the best grades that you can. There are programs that have higher grade requirements and then some that are not that strict, right? If I could give you maybe some examples, and it also goes with what we're seeing in the career trends as well. So not only for like something like medicine, for example, you obviously need to have sciences. For like IT related ones, you want to have some background in IT, or you might need to have math. So they're different, but there are also some specific unis that are based on also popularity, or how many applications are they getting for this program. So you might find maybe right now things like in data, cybersecurity, those careers or those degrees are getting a lot of attention. So we get a lot of applications for those. So it means they get more competitive. So you might find a university has said we need A students for this because they're going to sift through, right? Because they're getting so many applications. So if you're going for a very electrical, like the hot programs, right? The ones that are very popular now, then you want to make sure you're going to be as competitive as possible and you want to have the right subjects. Yeah.
What do you think a Form 1 student should do to prepare for their post-school journey?
All right. I'll talk about two things, right? Your academics, right? Because it's we actually use your transcript to apply to university. Regardless of your performance, they will ask for transcript, right? So your academics, be very keen on your academics, be diligent with your academic work. Study smart, right? From Form 1. I've seen students make mistakes whereby by Form 1 third term, they believe that they don't like this subject. I'm using that word very sparingly, like they believe that they don't like that subject. And then they just do bare minimum. And therefore, in Form 1 third term, their transcripts just becomes like a student has high grades in some subjects, and there are these subjects that are just not so good, right? The reason why I use the word they believe they don't like, it's because most of the time it's from peer. It's what they've heard from other people say. I usually tell students, always give yourself an opportunity to experience a subject before you make a decision that I don't like this subject. because most of the time it's based on what your friends are saying. It's based on what your brothers, siblings are saying. Siblings, actually, the most influential people when it comes to subject selection. And sometimes even parents and cousins. So I always say, give yourself an opportunity to experience the subjects, so that when you are choosing the subjects, you are choosing subjects that will give you options in uni. Don't restrict yourself to a particular pathway in Form 2. Choose subjects that give you multiple options when you are doing application. So that's the academic part of it. And then 2, take advantage of opportunities that come while you are in high school. There's these opportunities that let me use an example of what we do in Nova Pioneer, right? We are always looking for opportunities that will make our students stand out, right? If there are any conferences that our students can attend, we'll request, we reach out to the organizer, say, we have our students who are interested in this particular pathway. This conference, just attending the conference will actually be a boost to them. Like last year, we had a nuclear conference at KICC, and we were privileged enough to have some of our students attend. And out of that conference, one of the students actually got a contact from someone in the ministry. And out of that mentorship they have with that person, the students actually she's now decided that she's going to that career pathway. And these are the opportunities I'm talking about. Because sometimes the opportunities, we will send opportunities, but very few students will actually take advantage of them. But the story is changing, because most students are realizing that it's not just about me going through our school. It's about what I do as I'm in high school. So take opportunities, explore yourself, do sports, do drama, be in a club, right? Identify yourself with something that will help you to grow and develop your personality, and also grow your character. When you look at the application form, right, there are very specific questions they ask. Even when you look at the essays that they ask, there's something that they're looking for. Someone who's just going to do a generic essay, they will know, right? But they want to know, who are you as an L, right? How are you representing yourself? Right? And that comes with your interactions in high school, the things that you do while in high school, both in clubs, be it sports. You might not be a sporty person, but at least you can be in a club. Like, you can do something. So always find something that you can do in high school, right? Engage. If there are any community services in your school, do them. Don't even wait for those that are organized by school. Even in your local community, you can volunteer at church, right? You say, okay, during my holidays, I'll volunteer. There are things that you learn along the way. You learn diligence, discipline, dedication to your work, and you learn the right values. And that's what the employers are looking for, because they want someone who has developed that mind of being dedicated and diligent enough to pursue something. Let me give an example. If you came to Nova Pioneer Eldoret, right, and you discovered this basketball, you didn't play it in primary, right, and you said, actually, I'm interested. And then from Form 1, you started training, right? Form 2, you don't have a chance, because we already have people who are very good at it. But then in Form 3, you are so good that every time there is a game, you are top of the list, and you are now become a captain. Now, when you look at that success story, someone who has learned, then even the university recruiter will say that this is a student who's really dedicated. This is the person that we are looking for. Someone is going actually to pursue the course until the end. Someone is going to take advantage of the opportunities that we provide. So those are the two things I'll talk about in terms of what our Form 1 students should start doing.
Okay. Cynthia, would you advise, okay, not technically advise, but I don't know if it's the right term to use, because majorly in Kenya, I'm not sure if it was said by the government or it's just Kenyan parents, they have this mindset that it's the academics that will give you a life, it will give you a career. So let's say a Form 1, they're not so good in their classwork, their academics, but on the co-curricular activities, sports, clubs, they're so good. Like, would you advise somebody to go with their co-curricular, and will the university accept them the way they are without their academic strength?
All right. So obviously, not everybody is going to be an A student, right?
Yes.
And everybody has different strengths. If these students' strengths then are going to be in co-curriculars or extracurriculars, we can focus on that when you're looking for admission. I'll tell you, if you're looking at it internationally, for different study destinations have a different way they look at applications. So you'll find like maybe the US, they look at you as an all-round student. They want to see your essays even before you get an offer to the institution, right? And then it's a bit different like in Canada where they look at grades, right? And they don't, for the essays will come in maybe when you're trying to get a scholarship, but for you to get an offer, you just need to show your grades, right? So for this specific student, I would say you want to make sure that you're then applying to the right places, applying to the right destinations. If this student is not very strong in academics and they're very strong in sports or in leadership or whatever it is, then look for the institutions that celebrate that, right? Because then those institutions will be looking at what are your achievements in sports and in whatever else you're doing outside of class. And then the grades are going to be a bit secondary, right? And then I'm also assuming that this student who is struggling in academics a bit and they shine really well outside of class, then also their course that they are going to pursue reflects that, right? Because you won't have that student saying, but I want to do medicine, and they really thrive outside of the classroom, right? So it will translate. So they're different. What I like now about the higher education space is that there are institutions for all kinds of students. There are those that are even like sports institutions, right? There are those that are very focused on leadership, even here in Africa. So yeah, you will end up, every student is going to end up somewhere. You just need to show that, yes, I did my best here, but this is where I shine, and you have proof of that from like Form 1, right? So even I like what Mr. Taka said in terms of just don't come and show me a certificate of you having done a basketball tournament. That is not a story, right? I want to know what impact did this have on you, or what impact did this have on other people through you, right? Yeah.
Do you think that co-curricular activities help in university applications?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we want to see a student who is multifaceted, right? So yes, you want to do something outside of class. Outside of class. The thing is, even the job market reflects that as well. Right now, I don't know if you've ever heard of personality hires. Like, your resume is going to, everybody's resume these days is so nice, and everybody has the grades and all that. But then when you're actually speaking to a person, they want to know, how are you standing out, right? What makes you special? And that is with the story, and your story is built by what you do outside of class. Even for me as an adult, right now, and I never used to be big in like extracurriculars when I was in high school. But now I like to look at what else am I doing with my life outside of my like normal work and family things, right? Because that's where you start knowing things about yourself, about your personality, about working with others. So yes, you want to start building those things that you do outside of class from now. They are important when you're doing your applications, and eventually when you're looking for jobs.
Yeah, there are activities in high school that will speak to your character. If I'm looking at a student's application, right, and you're talking about I did this, I did that, but I don't see the impact part of it, then I don't connect with you, right? But if I'm reading a genuine story, right, I'm reading a story of how you are able to move from this place to this place. You might not have been the best student, but the journey that you walked talks about who you are, your character, your personality, your dedication, and your commitment to do something. So, and the co-curricular shapes us. Academics, very important, but extracurricular shapes us beyond what we learn in the classroom. So I'll say yes. And even sometimes in the applications, in some destination, they will ask for recommendation letters, right? So, and when you look like a counselor recommendation letter, they want to hear about the students beyond academics because they can see the transcript. So the way I'm going to speak about Chanel is about your character and how you demonstrated that through the other things that you are doing beyond the classwork. So it's really, really important. Yeah. And sometimes we have this myth that when you talk about co-curricular, you have to be either the president of the institution, or sorry, student council, or be the captain of the team. It's not about that. It's about what you do in that co-curricular activity. Even if it's just a journalism club, right? What was your contribution? What was your impact? Did you introduce something that has continued throughout time? Or did you learn something by being in that club? Did you become a better writer, right? If you say that you became a better writer, they will see it also in how you are writing your essay. So it's really, it's important. It's find a balance, find a balance between your academics and create space for extracurricular.
Okay. Is it able for like a Form 3, Form 4 student to be able to know what they want to do before the national examination? Or does it have to even extend? Because maybe like the parent wants the student to know what they want to do before the exam, and the student hasn't yet figured out themselves and what they want to be in future.
It is possible, but most of the time, it happens at the very end or even after. As Cynthia said, it's okay not to figure it out before you do your KCSE or your final exams. And just because when you look at student life, like they have a lot of things to figure out, right? Friendship, their identity, yeah, right? Their passion, their academics, their extracurricular. So sometimes there are students who take time to really discover and narrow down, and it's okay, right? There might be a lot of pressure from parents that I want you to decide so that I know where I'll take you to university, right? And I think it's high time, and most parents are actually started understanding. It's high time we look at how prepared is the student to actually choose, right? Are they ready? And there are students who will walk in my office and will have a genuine conversation, and you will see that their priority right now is excelling in their final exams. And we say, that is important, right? Let's have this conversation even after your KCSE, and we'll do follow up, right? So it is okay not to figure out. And we will have many students who don't figure. Some think, actually, there are three categories of students. There are students who genuinely don't know. They have not figured it out. There are students who actually have figured it out. And then there are students who think they have figured it out. So now, the students who think they have figured out are the most affected. Because most of the time, it's because maybe of their parents or their peers, right? You are my friend. So you've talked about how you want to do IR, international relations, right? How you want to go and work with the UN. So it becomes something attracting. And all of a sudden, I decide, oh, I want to do IR, right? So that category of students are the ones who struggle a lot because they identify themselves with something that they actually don't really understand or something of their interest. And therefore, the conversation should be continuous. Even after they finish their final examination, we should support the students beyond that until they figure it out. And as I mentioned, most schools are starting to adopt career advising. And then universities are they are very intentionally setting up like academic advising departments and career advising departments. So the support will start from high school, even if you haven't figured it out. Like if you went to the category, the pathway that Cynthia was talking about, like you go choose some courses and then figure it out at the end of the first year. We have academic advisors who are going to work with you, right? So it is okay if you don't figure it out in Form 4 or Form 3, but just do activities that will help you to figure it out later and ask for help. And for schools that have like career departments, reach out. Don't imagine that now that you've cleared from high school, you can go back to ask. For Nova Point, likely when you come back, we still have meetings with our alumni. Whether you finished 2 years ago, whether you finished 1 year ago. Right now, I'm in a conversation with a student who is applying for masters. Right, he really wants to understand like what is the market trend, so that by the time he's choosing his master's program, it's aligned to what the market is looking for. So it's okay if you don't figure it out in Form 3.
What do you think will happen with the current future of work? Like the way with all mobilization with the Gen Zs, the network, the internet. What do you see the future of work will be like as a university student?
Well, I think, okay, for me personally, when I look at the future of work, what makes it very exciting is that we can't even, what is it, predict, right? It's always changing. So that also makes it very exciting. And I can see also how that is informing the decisions that students are making now, and institutions also, what kind of programs are providing to students. So you'll find that students are going into like more techie fields, data, artificial intelligence. And then also for those who are not into sciences, we're also going into sustainability, for example. So we've seen a lot of, because even if I think of like a Gen Z now, or somebody who is in high school or uni, then they're looking at, oh my God, you mean 20 years down the line, our planet is going to be dying, or 30. So they want to look for solutions for that. So they want to go into sustainability, environment, things like those. And then we still have the ones who are like, we want to go into health. If things are really changing this fast, even with our planet and things like those, even how us as humans we are adapting is also changing. Like there's new diseases or things like those, and people want to look at solutions to solve that as well. And then there are some fields that are never dying, in my opinion. I feel like students will still go into business, will still go into, some of those more traditional programs, and they still, we still see students who do those as well. So there are some that are kind of like picking up now, booming now. And the ones that are more traditional, students are still pursuing them. Yeah.
Yep. Just something little to add. Recently, I had an opportunity to travel and tour some universities, and I'm even as a career counselor, I realized that there are many things that I still need to learn, especially in terms of career advising. And let me give you an example. For example, business, right? We went to an institution and we had a talk with a professor, and he was telling us that business is changing, right? It's no longer just about business administration, business management, economics. People are looking more into business analytics, business statistical, and so on. So therefore, there are new things that are coming up, even in the traditional courses, that students need to be aware of. We had an opportunity to visit Collins Aerospace, and they were telling us that actually we were surprised to learn that the many people they employ are actually not from aerospace engineering. They are employing people from cybersecurity. They are employing people from architecture, civil engineering, business, analytics. And what they are looking for is skills. Do you have the right skills? Therefore, for my advice would be, even in that course that you're doing, find the right skills. It's the skills that will give you a job. It's the skill that will actually help you come up with your own business enterprise, right? Because we are talking about, the conversation we're having is that let's also be job creators. Let's not wait to be employed. But what will help you there? They are the right skills. So we have relevant education and right skills. With relevant education, you will have the right skills. And then taking advantage of leverage on the opportunities that are available, whether you are in high school or you are in college or university, there are many opportunities. There are those opportunities that help you to build your network. There are those opportunities that will get you an internship in that organization or company that stands out on your resume. Yeah, thank you.
You said find your skills. I've remembered find your novel. For my last question,
Yes.
what will you advise the students who don't know what they do, or a piece of advice or a message you will give those students?
Luckily enough, we are in an era where we have access to information. One thing I will ask those students is to genuinely do their research and explore more, right? Right now, we have several resources that are free on the internet. We have personality tests and so on. So let them keep on exploring. And then they can even challenge themselves to do a job experience, right? If you have a family member, for example, who is an engineer, right? And you've been thinking about engineering, have a conversation with them, right? Ask them to allow you to tag along, maybe in one day of their work. If you have someone who is doing psychology, for example, talk to them, right? Even if it's not a family member, through your parents' network, you will always find someone. So let them explore more. Let them not just sit and say, I don't know. Maybe our school doesn't offer this program, these opportunities, so I don't know. Please research and explore, and then create your own profile in a way that by the time you are getting to a point where you are applying, be it for a job or even for admissions into a university or college, you are actually applying from a point of understanding yourself, who you are, and what really works for you. Yeah, so that will be my advice.
I thought the same question to Cynthia. What will you advise a student who doesn't know they want to do?
I think curiosity ends up being your best teacher. You need to stay curious and you need to talk to the right people so you can get the answers you're looking for, because the not knowing is there's something you're looking for that you're not finding. So make sure you're having those conversations. I like what you said in terms of using the resources that are available to you. So you need to go to your careers office. If you don't have a careers office in your school, then try and see how you can connect with other people even outside of school to help you with that process. And also to reduce the pressure, right? You're not alone in the journey of not knowing or the journey of finding out. A lot of people are also on this journey with you, and there's no a deadline, right? Because I think that the pressure also gives students more, it makes you even more confused, right? So just take your time with it. Make sure that you're looking for the information where it is, but just reduce the pressure and take the time. There's a lot of things students are thinking about, as you said. So it's not going to be life or death. So you just want to reduce that pressure and then just approach it from that angle.
Thank you so much. At least now I got the information I need as a Form 1 student. And for all the other people who are watching, thank you for taking your time. Have a good evening.